360-degree technology, what is it and how is it going to change your business on the Digital Agent? The Digital Agent podcast is sponsored by Bounce Coffee. My favorite is the Liquid Speed Extra High Caffeine Blend. It takes a lot of caffeine to sell this many houses, and this is exclusively where I get it. BounceCoffee.com. Making the world a better place, one cup at a time. The Digital Agent podcast is also sponsored by CustomNeon.com. You can see our fabulous signs behind me and behind Tom. If you would like a custom neon sign for your business, they don't make them out of neon anymore. They make them out of LEDs. They are longer lasting, they are more energy efficient, they are much more portable, and they're less expensive. In fact, speaking of less expensive, you can get 10% off your custom neon sign by going to customneon.com or the neoncollective.com.au for my Australian listeners, and typing in the code DIGITAL10. By doing so, you can get your custom neon sign for 10% off, and it can be at your door in as little as 3 weeks, and then up in your man cave or at the front of your office. My guest today is Tom from Virtual Tours Creator, and to be honest, I had no idea what this guy did until I met him at a conference, and now we are best buddies. Tom, tell us about this little thing and what technology we're working with here.
Hey guys, nice to meet you. It's Tom. Hey Rob, thanks for having me here. Sorry, I just got too excited.
That's all right. We'll edit it out in post. It'll be fine.
Well, this is a 360 camera. For the ones that have never seen it, it's super tiny. The technology is here. It's not out of space. It's not from the future anymore. It's here. We're talking about 360 virtual tours that you can create as little as in 15 minutes per 3-bedroom house.
Now, I'm going to jump in here because I would have thought that was complete and total bullshit, except I have a house on the market where I created a 360-degree virtual tour this week, and it is up and online, and it literally took me 15 minutes. I couldn't believe it.
Music to my ears.
So this little camera, being a 360-degree camera, most of us real estate agents have heard of a technology called Matterport. Is that what this is?
No, not at all. Although it's a similar concept, I like to say it's faster, less expensive, and just easier to use.
Right.
You know?
So I've heard that a lot of agents don't like using Matterport because it sometimes can take up to 2 hours to photograph a house. But these will give a similar result in about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the size of the house.
100%. Look, Matterport is amazing.
They're a good company.
There's no doubt about it. But if you don't have a property that is probably $2.5–3 million, you might as well get this for your rentals or your sales on an average $800,000 or $600,000 property.
Average $800,000. You know, Tom, there's people listening in Nebraska and Tennessee where the average house is $120,000.
There you go. Sorry, I was thinking about Australian.
I know, it's crazy here. So, okay, what does a camera like this that does that 360-degree thing cost?
Well, it's exactly $539 Australian. If you are in America, you can get them off Amazon for a similar price, or maybe even a bit cheaper.
Right.
I'm not too sure, but this is your initial outlay for getting a camera. You might need a tripod that goes with it. We have it together with a tripod for $688. But if you have your own tripod, we're more than happy to send you a special extension with the camera for free, and then you can mount it on the tripod that you have. And that's it.
So your initial outlay as a real estate agent to get a 3D tour, you know what? Hang on a sec. What I'm going to do is send everyone watching to a video so that they can see what the heck we're talking about, because this is dumb. We're going around in circles here. Okay, watch this.
Once you have the hotspot set up, click on it and it will take you to the room connected.
add a returning hotspot on the next panorama. Keep adding hotspots to all your panoramas until your tour is ready. Remember to create hotspots to go back to the room you came from. First, we created hotspot from bedroom to living room, and now we just connected living room to bedroom. After adding hotspots, VTC software will automatically recognize the direction you came from between rooms, and therefore will make you look directly opposite way to where you came from. So there is no need to set up the viewpoint direction, unless you really want to change it. If you make a mistake and put the hotspot in the wrong place, simply hover over it and click remove.
Okay, so now you can see a bit more about what we're talking about. So Tom's cameras, and they're not Tom's cameras, there's actually about 20 different brands on the market that you can buy, create a three-dimensional walkthrough of a house, or even, as I am most excited about, a 3D video of the house. And I've actually got a 3D video up on my Facebook page, so if you look up Rob Levy Remax on Facebook, you can see me doing a 3D stabilized walkthrough of a house where I'm walking from room to room, and if I'm talking about the windows to the left, you can grab your finger and spin the camera to the left and look at my windows, spin the camera to the right and look at the stove, all while this is rolling, because somehow this camera takes what kind of resolution?
7,000 pixels.
So
7K.
7K. For you gearheads out there, you know you want a 7K camera. So
there is a little difference between photo and video.
Right.
Let's discuss that. If you want to do photography for real estate,
yes,
I would focus on a camera that does the 7K.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. There's no cameras that shoot 7K videos. They all shoot 4K videos.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still incredible and amazing, but there's a little difference between those two cameras. That's why we are focusing and we are encouraging you to get this one, and Rob can tell you why.
Oh, actually, I can tell you about that. I got a camera called the Insta360 1X, and that's what I shot my house with. And why did I get that camera? Because it's got ridiculous inbuilt stabilization. It's bloody amazing. You wouldn't know that someone's walking around with it at all. It is smooth as a baby's butt. However, I must say, when I put it on the tripod and shot the photos of the interior of my house, I was a little bit disappointed in the results. They're good enough.
Yes.
But I shot it at twilight, there wasn't enough light, and it just didn't produce the results that this camera was able to. Now, what do we call this thing that you got? Now, most of the ones you're selling are the orange model.
Yes.
This is the old model.
Yes, this is the old model. The new one is called Mad Venture, like a crazy adventure, Mad Venture 360.
Right.
You might pronounce it with American accent.
Mad Venture? Mad Venture?
Mad Venture?
Yeah.
This is an older model, so I wouldn't advise to get that. There's no more firmware updates on these ones, although you can probably buy them for around $200.
Oh my goodness.
But you're taking a risk that if something breaks, nobody's gonna really fix it, and there's not gonna be many.
And what? Here, look. Wiggle that camera again for me.
Yep. Oh, you have to scroll. Yeah, you can move the phone around.
So
yeah.
We've actually got that camera running live right now, and you can see in 360 degrees what's happening in the room. But this is one of the reasons that you do want the Mad Venture version, because all of this software runs through your smartphones. Smartphone software is updated all the time. If the software isn't working together with the new Android or iPhone updates, the whole camera becomes completely useless.
Yes.
And we just don't know when that's going to happen with the little black ones. But the $500 orange ones are being continually updated.
Yes.
Right. So I'm going to jump in here and talk about my virtual tour experience, because what I did is I went out and got this 360-degree camera. I got to the house. I set up my monopod, and I popped the camera on top of it. And then what you do, you know how we were just looking at that app and you could see what you could see in the camera? Well, you put the camera on top of the tripod, You walk yourself out of the room until you're out of frame, and then you hit the photograph button. It takes about 2 seconds to take the photo, and then you walk yourself back into the room, grab the tripod, and you walk it into the second room. And then you take that photo. And that's it. So my 4-bedroom house took me about 15 minutes to photograph, and it took about 15 photos to create a virtual tour. And at the end of the episode, I'm going to have Tom give us his top tips on how to create a really good virtual tour. So hang in for that. Now, the next thing I had to do, hang on. The next thing I had to do was take those photos and put them on a site that integrated with Australian real estate sites so that someone swiping through the photos on the internet would be able to use that virtual tour on their phone or on their
Desktop.
computer.
Yes.
And the funny thing about Tom's website, which is virtualtourscreator.com, is...
.au.
Ah! Don't be like me. Get your addresses right. virtualtourscreator.com.au. The funny thing about Tom's website is I logged in, I bought myself a month worth of virtual tour tech, I uploaded my photos, and then I was going to ring Tom and ask how to set up a virtual tour, but it just gave me really easy instructions. It said, which room is the front of the house? I put that there. And then it said, where do you go from here? So I clicked on the front door and it said, what's after this? And I put the front hallway photo there. Suddenly I'm in the front hallway. And then it said, what's off here to the left? Well, I clicked on that door and it became the master bedroom. So by the time I was finished with the site just walking me through everything, the entire virtual tour was built. You could click on the floor plan of the house and shortcut to any room. And Tom rang me the next day and said, hey, I see you made a virtual tour. You didn't even need my help. So, I mean, it's really intuitive. However, if you get stuck, you can get on the phone with Tom and he will talk you through it, or he will talk your personal assistant, office manager, or anyone else through it.
In your team. Yes, well, I like to say we pride ourselves for being the only company in the whole world. You probably have them in America too, but nobody really cares about training you and your staff. Nobody's going to hold your hand throughout the whole process and make it easy. Yeah, they'll give you the camera, or they won't even give you the camera. They'll tell you there's 7, choose one, and then they're going to say, okay, now pay for the subscription, and off you go. Now, we have a slightly different approach. I love to work with people. I like to take care of it, and I know how difficult it can be when this new technology comes out, and it's one of the 700 other solutions that people have to use in your office, and everyone is just against using anything new.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need somebody to hold your hand, and I think we are supporting you enough. It's not for me to judge. You can, you can talk to Rob, or you can check out our reviews on Google or Facebook. And there's quite a few people that are very happy with what we're doing. I'm really proud of that, and we're constantly improving to give you better service.
Okay, so let me actually tell you a little bit about that, because Tom rang me on a cold call about 9 months ago. And he tried to sell me his virtual tours, and I basically said, hey, look, buddy, fuck off. I mean, it wasn't very nice. I was more polite than that, I hope.
Yes, of course. He's very diplomatic.
But we real estate agents get called by 100 people every month trying to sell us stuff. Now, where did I meet Tom in person? I was at a real estate convention, and Christina from realestate.com introduced us. And I said, no, not this guy. We talked on the phone. And Tom said, but wait. Let me step you through the process of why you would use a virtual tour for your business. Now, we're going to talk about that in just a second. But what I want to emphasize here is that his personalized service, listening to what I had to say, and discussing with me how this technology would be useful in my business actually made me, in about 40 minutes, I was a bit of a hard ass about it, decide that, okay, I have to get one of these cameras and I have to try it out. And then I actually haven't had to deal with you because your website is so easy that I've just been able to take the camera, film my tour, photograph my house, put it all up and running, and using the Facebook digital targeted marketing that I do. We haven't talked about this.
No, not yet.
It's been running for 2 days.
Yes.
2,500 people have seen my virtual tour. The click-through rate, which is, you know, how many people see your ad versus how many people interact with it.
Yes.
13.7%. Now, for those of you in internet land, the average click-through rate on a Facebook ad is 1.5%. So I'm running at more than 10 times the average click-through rate due to having this awesome virtual tour of my house. And I've had 3 people inquire about it. It's been on the market 2 days. In fact, we're going to get out of here in 20 minutes, and I'm going to go show that house to someone who saw it on Facebook.
Wow.
It's working!
Wow, thank you.
How exciting.
This is, yeah, you haven't told me that before the interview
Well,
also.
we've been busy setting up this interview, trying
Yes.
to look professional.
Yeah, okay.
Look professional.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying my best.
I'm professional. Right. Okay, so Tom, I talk a lot.
Yes.
I love to hear myself talk. Let's talk a little bit about you. Tell me how you got into this business and why this is what you decided to do. What were you doing before this?
Okay, well, I've always been into sales.
Yep.
And I love talking to people, meeting with people. I guess this is what I'm good at. But 5 years ago, I started a company called Mood Studio.
Okay.
So it's moodstudio.com.au. And we specialized in off-the-plan 360 3D virtual tours, 360 videos for the likes of Bond University, City of Darwin. We even created the first in the Southern Hemisphere 3D kitchen configurator for a local Brisbane company called Kitchen Connection.
Okay.
That's even before IKEA came up with their own configurator.
Okay. So many terms. Wait, let's break down this kitchen one. So you could walk into, what's this company called?
Kitchen Connection.
You could walk into Kitchen Connection and
Showroom.
put on a headset
Yes.
and pick out a granite countertop
Yes.
and then look at the kitchen you've just designed
Yes.
in 3D using
Live.
the technology that you
Yes.
created.
Yep.
So before you got into real virtual tours, you were doing virtual tours of imaginary spaces that didn't exist.
Yes. Non-existing off-the-plan virtual tours for developers.
Okay,
And
let me grab
This
this.
is one of the
me grab
examples that we did for a developer on the Gold Coast.
Yep, now
So-
it's in frame.
Yep.
So this that we're looking at, this house doesn't really exist.
No, not a single thing except for the view behind the windows. But every texture is custom designed from the samples that we're giving from the developer or producers of the floors.
So the floors are the actual texture of the floor that's going to go in.
Same with if you turn around, there's a wall.
Yep.
That wooden wall, that's all custom designed to the textures that the producer provided us with. Even the door frames, everything. So the developer, paid for this, I don't know, around $30,000 to $50,000.
Whoa.
But he didn't have to build a display home, which would cost him probably, I don't know,
$1.5 million.
$1.5 million. These are 250 square meter apartments that sell for $2.5 million each. Yeah.
Wow. So
and all they sold already just from the virtual tours.
So you created a virtual version of this apartment building, and the entire set of apartments sold completely off the plan based on your virtual tours, because every texture and every building material that was going into them was already built.
It's one-to-one. That's what you're going to get when you buy the house. That's how it's going to look like.
And is this company that you were operating still running?
Yes.
And what it was called?
Moodstudio.com.au.
Moodstudio.com.au. If you're a developer or if you're a real estate agent selling developments and you're struggling to get people's imagination running on what you're actually providing, go to moodstudio.com.au.
That's the trick.
Contact Tom because he's got a tech that I didn't hear of until 5 minutes ago.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, look. And So I was doing this 5 years ago, and 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was buying a house and having a full-time job. My wife having a full-time job. Sorry, we couldn't have time to go to open houses. And then, you know, I would go to one, she would go to one. We couldn't even compare. So I thought, why don't we just use the technology that I have? And these cameras came out that allowed anyone to take the photos. And that's how Virtual Tours Creator was born. That was just the idea.
I'm going to stop and get you a glass of water.
Thank you.
We'll just edit this bit out. Thank you, my good friends, the editors, for editing out me getting Tom a glass of water. So, what Tom just said is he was tired of driving across the city to go to open houses, not being able to see what was in them. He had a technology at his fingertips, quite literally, that would let him see everything there was to see in a house before making that 1.5 hour time commitment decision to drive across the city. Why not create an Australian-based company that worked with agents to be able to better show off their houses? Right. Tom, tell us, I bet everyone now is like sold on your product and excited, but what does it actually cost? We talked about the cameras being about $500 plus a tripod for another 130 or so.
Yes.
What does it cost to host virtual tours, and do they integrate with the Australian websites?
Of course they do. They integrate with pretty much any website around the world, same in America.
Really?
Yes, yeah. It's slightly different setup because in America they don't allow so much branding. So you can't put your logo down the bottom of the tour. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
right, because of the
MLSs.
MLS. Yeah, the
Certain-
MLS. You guys and your MLS.
Well, I didn't know that. I learned that from our US customers because
Yeah.
we already have a few. So it's a subscription-based solution. But don't be afraid of the word subscription because there's no contract.
Right,
So-
I'm month to month. Because I don't have any houses to sell in January. I
Yep.
know I've got my December 3 that I'm working on. So I've signed up for December.
Yep.
And I'll be back with another few in February.
Yes. Yeah. So you decide wherever you go up, down in the subscriptions. You can even cancel it if, God forbid, you're not going to have any properties to sell for 2 months, which I hope never is going to happen. You can cancel the subscription, then come back whenever you want.
Right.
Fully
So,
flexible.
right. So to have 10 virtual tours live, I
Yes.
think is the package that most people use.
Yes, that's the business one for $49.95 Australian.
So
dollars.
for my American customers, it's 35
That's
bucks
nothing.
a month to have 10 virtual tours live at any given time.
Yes, that works out $5 per property,
Cheapest chips,
including
mate.
GST. Yes.
Right, and if you only have a couple of houses here in Australia, like I do at the moment, because I keep selling them all,
Yes.
I'm on the mini package, which is $19.95. I've got 3 virtual tours available. I've got 1 house up on a virtual tour right now. It's going to sell this week. So I'm stoked. It ends up at about, like $7.50 a house for the month.
Yep.
It costs nothing. It's easy to use. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, I'm pretty excited
Yeah,
about it.
well, I am. I'm glad somebody finally recognizes that,
I'm sure as more people hear about you, a lot of people are going to recognize that. But as you were saying, the way you meet most people in your business is face-to-face. Because we real estate agents, like me when you tried to reach me, are stubborn bastards that don't want to hear from you. And by going to conventions and actually grabbing us and grabbing the camera and taking a 3D selfie with us, I was hooked.
Yep.
So I'm gonna break us up here because the most important aspect of using these virtual tours is probably not for selling houses. It is probably in the rentals department. Check this out. Talk to me about this.
Yes. So I designed it for sales, but then all of a sudden our customers started telling me that they started using it for property management. And now we have customers like Image Property from Brisbane that has 3,400 properties under their belt
Wow.
in management. They got 5 of those cameras or even 6, and they're doing a 360 virtual tour on every entry and exit condition.
Right. So by doing a 360 virtual tour, rather than having to take 450 photos of a house,
They managed to cut it down to around 100 or 150.
that's got to save time.
That saves so much time to the property managers, although at the beginning they are terrified and they don't want to do it. But look, once they start doing it, as Joel says, there's no going back. They love it and they don't want to ever do normal photos of 1 million shots in a room. You take one of the room and then you do little ones of the damage that's actually there.
When I moved into this house, my report had 650 photos on it, and it's only a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah.
Imagine if we'd had a 360-degree tour. I mean, look, we also probably would have been more comfortable renting the house because we were living in another city when we rented it, and we had no idea how it was actually laid out.
Yes. Now, another good example is Remax Regency on the Gold Coast.
Right.
A big shout to whom?
Kushla, the best property manager in the country. Sorry, Katie Knight, what can you do? So how is Kushla using this?
So they've been using 360 technology for the last 4 years. And most of you is going to say a virtual tour is not going to stand a case in court because it's not legally binding or whatever. Yes, it won't. But what Kushla would have told you is for the last 4 years, they didn't get a single case in court where the tenant would take them to court because they had the property before they moved in and when they move out. There was nothing that the tenant could pretend that there wasn't there or was there. No argument.
Right.
So for the last 4 years, on more than 600 properties that they have, they didn't have a single case of going to court. And this is a fact. This is incredible. So, yes.
So I want to jump in here because everyone's thinking, holy shit, 600 properties. That's going to cost a lot of money on Tom's subscription service. But guys, it doesn't work that way. I'm going to sell your product for you. You only need to have the properties online that are being used at that given second. All of these virtual tours can be easily stored on your hard drive, and when you need to show somebody an entry or exit report, that's when you upload them for a week at a time so that people can interact with them and use them, and then they can go back onto your server, and they're there forever for the length of time you own the property.
Yes. Well, there's one more thing that we didn't discuss and you don't know about.
Yeah.
We have different subscriptions for property management.
Really?
Yes. They start, when you go into quantities, they start from $159 per month.
Yep.
And it gives you 30 virtual tours every month and they stay forever. You don't turn them off. They stay hosted on our servers.
Wow.
You don't worry about it. If you need that 7 years after the tenant moved out, it's there. So that's another thing.
Damn. That's some good value.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it works out $5 per property forever.
Okay, and then if the owner gets upset with you because of the condition of their property, but you know you've been managing it perfectly, all you have to do is go, mate, it's right here on the website. 7 years ago it looked like this, now it looks like this. That's the way it is.
If I can jump in, one more thing, and this is one of my favorite examples. Rob Woolma from LJ Hookah in Perth.
Yeah.
He gave me this example that because he's using the virtual tours and quite a few of our other customers for quarterly reports to landlords.
Ooh.
They've never seen such service. You send them a tour, they're gonna love you. Some of them have never seen their property.
You're right.
They have no idea.
A lot of my landlords have never seen the inside of their property. So this would let them literally, virtually, not literally. My wife is a librarian. She wouldn't like me saying literally because they are not literally walking through. They are virtually walking through their property for the first time and getting to see exactly how the tenants are keeping their largest investment.
And what Rob had struggled with is getting money from renovations from an overseas landlord.
Right.
After 7 years, he was expecting the same amount of money for rent without doing any renos. He couldn't explain, he couldn't present the problem in the scale of things. He sent him a virtual tour. Within 2 weeks, he got the money for little touch-ups, and off you go. The property got renovated, leased out for the money, amount of money that the tenant wanted, that the landlord wanted. That's it. everyone was happy.
And what about a 15th amazing option? If you're in a market where it's very competitive to find renters for your property, is a renter more likely to rent a property with 6 photos from your iPhone, or that they can spend 10 minutes interacting with, knowing exactly where their couch is going to fit, knowing exactly how to walk through? Right. How is that going to help you? Well, let's say the property's rent for $400 a week. Each week it's not rented, the owner's losing $400. They're going to get upset. But if you have a virtual tour for your property, you can call potential owners as a business development manager and say, when we take on your property to rent, we offer a free virtual tour. All of the tenants in the market will be able to walk through the property, know exactly what they're getting. They're probably 10 times more likely to rent a property where they can see everything. I know I would be. And it's $500 for the camera and $5 a property to host.
And we know that now for sure, that cuts down the time of the property on market. In Perth, where
It's tough.
And it's average 60 days or 90 days on market.
Wow.
It comes down to 2 weeks.
Yes.
Because people from anywhere in the world can just, literally go on their phones, see them, and that's it. They call you. Rob had a lady moving from Melbourne to Perth. She was supposed to fly in for 3 days, to look at properties. He sent her a virtual tour. She said, I'm not going anywhere. I want this one. I'm just going to fly in to sign the papers and put my foot in the door. Done.
Wow. So, on today's show, we talked about a technology that you may never have heard of, but it is 2019. It is almost 2020. If you don't get on board with this now, your competitors will, and you're going to be in trouble. So, the moral of the story is go to virtualtourscreator.com.au, speak to the nicest man in all of real estate, Tom, who will happily step you through it. Hey, Bella, your wife is on there as well. She does some of the virtual interaction.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's a crazy story. Yeah. Rob was trying to test my virtual assistant because he thought it's a chatbot. It's not a chatbot. It's usually my wife or me whenever we have time.
I was chatting up his wife.
In Italian.
In Italian, apparently. Because I typed Bella into the virtual assistant and the chatbot thought I was speaking Italian.
Yeah, so it automatically translates the language. If you're somewhere in South America and you're going to go in Spanish, or you're from Cali or LA, we will understand what you're saying.
Okay, right before we go, I did promise we need your top tips for agents that do buy this technology for how to create a virtual tour. Go.
1, make sure you take a photo of the property from the street. People want to see the buyers or tenants want to see the neighbor houses, the setup on the street, that there's nothing dodgy about it, and how the house looks from the outside.
Right.
That's 1. 2, when you go inside, you have to make sure you not only photograph every single room, but you also need to photograph the hallways. So people have to be able to walk through the property like if you were walking through the house. You can't just magically jump from the downstairs bedroom to the upstairs bathroom without using the stairs.
Unless you're photographing Hogwarts and the stairs sometimes move. That's for you Harry Potter fans out there. But in all seriousness, I rang Tom right before I did my tour, and he answered because that's what he does. And he told me, don't forget to take the hallways. And it was really important because I thought I would need 10 shots for my house, but I really needed 15. Because if you're in the bedroom and you want to walk to the living room, but there's not a clear line of sight, when you're creating that virtual tour, you need to include that hallway so people can go from place to place.
Yeah. You have to remember that nobody has seen this property except for you. So you have to forget about it and think like if you weren't in that property. That's how. Now, another tip is always take a photo of the kitchen, inside of the kitchen, right in the middle, from behind the bench top or the island, because people want to see appliances. As you may know, kitchen is the most important part of the house, especially for the ladies. They want to see how it looks like, or they want to see how they can change it.
Right.
Yeah. Another important part that you can do, you may not think about it, is the backyard of the house. You know, the patio, the garden, whether it's fenced, whether you can have dogs over there, you know, and the last bit In our virtual tours, you can add unlimited amount of little info points where you can emphasize different things about the property. Save yourself time on answering phone calls from people asking you, how big is the fridge opening? Can I have a dog because is there a fence? You can set it up beforehand. You can have a 24/7 open house with all the info and things that you can't see, like the air conditioning, I don't know.
Yeah. So with my virtual tour, I put in Bosch dishwasher here, and I put in the dimensions of the fridge space there, and that sounds like a lot of work, but honestly, the second you upload the kitchen photo, you right-click on the space you want to put the info in, and then you just type it in, and then it's just there on the web magically. Yes. I swear it's as easy to use as Facebook. It's really intuitive.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to give you a top tip that Tom won't mention. I'm putting Easter eggs in all my virtual tours, and what I mean is,
I've seen that.
I stuck my head around the corner of the wall and I labeled myself Rob Levy, the digital agent, so that when people were looking around the kitchen, they could see my head popping out.
I've seen that. That was a good one.
Does not come with the house. But I was thinking you could do something creative for your business, like you could hide a dinosaur in each of your tours and you could have people go looking through your houses for that dinosaur.
That's how you can create engagement on your social media. When you post the virtual tour to Facebook, because you can do that, you can say, hey, find an Easter egg or find the dinosaur. Whoever finds it first gets a prize or gets recognition.
And we're all about creating engagement here on the Digital Agent Podcast, so that's an awesome tip to end our show on. What I'm going to do is sign off with my tagline, which is stay targeted. And Tom, what's your tagline?
Oh my goodness, virtual tours for life.
Virtual tours for life! You're the man, Tom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Hi again. Just one more thing. Tom gave me a ring after the podcast and said, hey Rob, if any of your listeners want to try Virtual Tours Creator, I'm happy to give them $50 off a camera and tripod package. Just log on to virtualtourscreator.com.au and when you sign up, put in the code DIGITAL50 and he's set up an offer for $50 off getting started with a camera and a tripod. How cool is that? All right, we'll talk to you guys really soon.